Pablo, good to see how you doing. Problem is fixed. Great. Evening. Good to see you as well, Pion. How you doing? How you been? Comatose, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Sorry about the lateness of the live show. Just making sure if it's working properly. We'll go in the comment section, which it is. Now I can read everyone's comments again. Let's go. Free and Forever, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Don, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening. How you been? Miles, how you doing? Free and Forever. Stormy, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? By the way, thank you so much to everyone that's liking and retweeting the live show right now at the beginning. Carl, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? How you been? Joe, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Stormy, good to see you as well. Troy, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Brian, good to see you as well. How you doing? How has your day been, Miles? Lena, very, very busy. I had an extremely busy day today with pretty much no sleep. But good in a sense, was productive. Manny, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening. JP, good to see you as well. Evening all. Just grabbed a large single malt, so I'm ready. Let's go pure. G, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? What I'm excited about is the comment section is finally back to normal. I can read the comments. I can go through the comments again. So I'm happy that it's fixed. Dennis, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Because yesterday's live show was just awkward. Everyone was commenting. I couldn't read anyone's comments yesterday, but it's good to be back to normal where I can read everyone's comments, scroll through everyone's comments. You're the best, my brother. Thank you for your live show. Let's go, Goody Clothing. Good to see you as well. How you doing? Thank you for the kind words, brother. Good to see you. Dennis, hi, CMF and Miles. Dennis, good to see you as well. How you doing? Frankie, brother, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening. What's up, Miles of CMF? Flea XLP, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Frankie, brother, good to see you as well. So, we have a mixture of news to go from tonight's live show, but I just want to say thank you so much to everyone that's retweeting this live show right now on X. And thank you so much to everyone that's retweeting and liking this live show on X right now, because I got notifications back to back. And thank you so much to everyone on YouTube that's also liking this live show as well. Good evening, CMF. Let's go, Frankie, brother. George, good to see you. How you doing? So, on tonight's live show, we have a mixture of news to go through regarding the financial world. So welcome to the CMF live show. If you're watching this for the first time ever, on this live show, every single night, I talk about the most recent things that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations. And I'm going to give you a gist of what we're going to be talking about on tonight's live show, the topics we're going to go through based on the news that just came out today. We're going to be talking about BlackRock on tonight's live show regarding tokenized assets and cryptocurrencies in general when it comes to BlackRock. We're also going to be talking about Goldman Sachs on tonight's live show as well, how they're betting big on ETFs, about $490 million big. We're also going to be talking about the Bitcoin price drops regarding the recent data that's came out, the CPI data we were waiting for, and how the market's reacted so far. How is the market going to react further on from this point on? We're also going to be talking about tonight's live show regarding the US government may be on the verge of selling essentially their seized Bitcoins, because there are some wallet transfer movements happening, which we're going to talk about on tonight's live show. We're also going to go through on the topic of MetaMask on tonight's live show as well. MetaMask has just literally launched a partnership with MasterCard. So very soon, people are going to be able to apply for a MasterCard bank card through MetaMask, so you can use your cryptocurrencies in the real world to do online purchases or face-to-face purchases from retail stores. We're also going to be talking about on tonight's live show regarding Norge Bank and Swiss National Bank, and essentially their reveal of how much exposure they have to MicroStrategy or Bitcoin in general. What I like about these companies is they're very silent. You know, all these banks, most of these corporations, they all move very silently. But you know when they can't move silently? when they do their filings with the SEC, for example, is when it gets revealed when they made their first purchases into the Bitcoin space or when they made their first purchases into cryptocurrencies in general, because they can't lie on their filings. But they're all very silent. Not a single one of these corporations, one by one, that's just coming out that they've done their S1 filings, they own cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin ETFs. And, they can't lie on their S1 filings, but they're very silent when the time comes when you ask them, do you own cryptocurrencies? Do you have exposure to ETFs? The general answer is no. Until their S1 filings comes out, it's a different story. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live show regarding Revolut Bank and Ledger partnering up together. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live show regarding New Zealand and their central bank CBDC, because New Zealand has just came out with a new consultation paper on how far they've gotten regarding their CBDCs. So, mixture of topics to go through on tonight's live show regarding Goldman Sachs. Also, we're going to be talking about Binance on tonight's live show as well. Binance has just settled with the Brazilian regulators for $1.76 million. So Binance can continue operations in Brazil. And Brazil is definitely becoming a hotspot for cryptocurrencies and CBDCs. They're launching next year regarding their CBDCs, doing the regulations this year. So mixture of topics to go through on tonight's live show regarding Binance, regarding Goldman Sachs, regarding BlackRock, regarding some Swedish and Swiss banks as well, regarding their exposure to cryptocurrencies. And also the US may be on the verge of selling Bitcoins at the exact same time that Mt. Gox is about to do a $2 billion sell-off as well regarding paying people back their monies. Now, the first news to go through on tonight's live show is regarding BlackRock, is the first news to go through on tonight's live show. And essentially, how far or how deep is BlackRock in the crypto space? Most people want to know, how far does BlackRock expand into the crypto space? Is it just a little bit of tokenization, just the ETFs, or is it further than that, or how deep have they really went in? So we're going to talk about some figure points and some data points regarding BlackRock on tonight's live show. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. But that is the first news we're going to cover, is BlackRock. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. And also, if you're watching this for the first time ever, welcome to the CMF live show. On this live show, I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations. And you can tune to this live show every single night. This is episode 128. So every single night you can tune into this live show called the CMF. You can tune it on YouTube or X, depending on where you're watching from. And we do live Q&As as well, which means if you have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. And as usual, the disclaimer of this live show is not financial advice, not political advice, and what advice I say is only for entertainment purposes. So welcome if you're first time watching this live show, and if you're regular, let's go CMF. The live show has officially started now. By the way, again, it is a live Q&A, so you can put questions down, and I'll be reading everybody's comments one by one in between the live shows as well. Now, let's see where we were at before we go through the first news. We were at George. Good to see you. How you doing? Glenda, good to see you. How you doing? You had one night of me being silent. Let's go, JP. Just moved to YouTube. Okay, thank you, brother. Reports were not good for USA. Yep, the inflation is still high inside the United States. I'm going to go through on this live show. We are definitely going to be covering the US inflation CPI data as well, and how could it possibly affect the market further on. That's why we need regulations, so everyone exposed to blockchain. Yep, definitely. Let's go. Hi, Miles. Brooke, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been, Brooke? You will find the best information here. Brooke, thank you so much for the kind words. Genuine, mean it. Thanks so much for the kind words. And funky brother, regarding exposure to blockchain, that's why they need regulations so everyone can get exposure to blockchain. Correct. More regulations means more institutions, and more institutions means more money, but more money also equals to more manipulation. But if you know where to, which projects to go towards, you're perfectly fine. Now, the first news on tonight's live show is Peter. Good to see you. How you doing? Hi, Miles. Hope all is okay. Ref comments. Let's go, Peter. How you doing? The first news on tonight's live show is regarding BlackRock. So, BlackRock engages heavily in crypto and tokenized asset issuance. The world's largest asset manager, BlackRock, is heavily involved in cryptocurrencies and tokenized asset issuance. The company, which has 2 ETFs and a tokenized US bond issued on the Ethereum network, has attracted massive demand. Due to intense customer interest, the value of BTC assets it holds as a counterpart to the ETFs have rapidly exceeded $20 billion. But what is the biggest competitor to BlackRock in this scenario? Vanguard is the biggest competitor. Now, what's interesting about Vanguard is still, till this day, Vanguard today basically came out and did a statement. And Vanguard said, once again, that they're not interested in ETFs, Bitcoin or Ethereum or any kind of ETFs. And Vanguard is a massive asset manager as well, $9 trillion under assets. But what's interesting about Vanguard is, one, their new CEO of Vanguard was also a member of BlackRock for 10 years. Two, the CEO of Vanguard, also being the essentially member of BlackRock for 10 years, was the person in charge for Bitcoin ETFs. So the person in charge of BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF launch is now the CEO of Vanguard, and this person decided to make a statement and said cryptocurrencies are not good, and we will never be going towards, not sort of cryptocurrencies, but ETFs are not good exposure, and we will not be going towards ETFs, Bitcoin or Ethereum, any sort of scenarios like that. But what's interesting about Vanguard is that they are also a majority shareholder in Bitcoin mining institutions. So as long as, what oddly doesn't make sense is they're not interested in Bitcoin ETFs because they don't see any sort of benefits, but they are involved, which they're very always silent on, but they are involved in the majority shareholdings of Bitcoin mining institutions. So Vanguard and cryptocurrencies, the second largest asset manager, Vanguard manages $9 trillion in customers' assets. The company's previous CEO had stated that they were essentially distant from cryptocurrencies and would not offer them to their clients whatsoever. However, recent reports suggest that a few major asset managers might make BTC ETFs accessible to their clients. According to the latest statements from Vanguard, the $9 trillion giant will not participate in the crypto ETF game. This is not a good thing because the more channels investors can enter through, the greater the capital flow into cryptocurrencies will become. Vanguard CEO Salim clearly stated that they do not want to launch crypto exchange traded funds whatsoever. He also went on to say that he worked at BlackRock for about 10 years, and transferred to Vanguard last month. He was the global head of BlackRock's iShare and index investments, responsible for managing most of the firm's client assets. So he was also in charge of the company's Bitcoin ETF applications and essentially other processes. Now, he also went on to say, I will not copy competitors. It is important for a company to remain consistent with its identity, but I want more innovation. Vanguard has had active funds since early days and is one of the largest active management firms. Jack Bogle's cost matters hypothesis is something we will keep in mind. We will not launch crypto ETFs. But ironically, he launched crypto ETFs for BlackRock, but they're not feasible for Vanguard. Something weird is going on there, definitely without a doubt. Him being willing to launch through BlackRock Bitcoin ETFs, now being the CEO of Vanguard, not wanting to essentially launch for Vanguard regarding ETFs, but what he's actually doing is just market manipulation. So people will read this news and go, oh, well, this is bad for the crypto markets. You know, Vanguard, $9 trillion under assets under management are coming out and saying crypto is bad, ETFs are bad. There's no point of traditional finance and essentially crypto joining together. But in reality, this sneaky, sly little man is a majority shareholder through Vanguard, is a majority shareholder in Bitcoin mining institutions. That is something that they will never mention, but it's on records. So he's king of manipulation because he's a majority shareholder of Bitcoin mining corporations, but apparently crypto is not feasible for their clients, but it is for them. Now, why Goldman Sachs is betting big on Bitcoin ETFs. $419 million investment revealed from Goldman Sachs. Before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. Hi, Miles. Hope all is okay. Hi, Miles and CMF. Mike, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Even Miles and CMF peeps. Semper, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? You see the pattern here with all the big hitters, Michael, etc., about ETFs manipulation. Yep, pretty much. Normally I have a cup or a mug with me, but just water this time from the bowl itself. But now, sorry about that. So why Goldman Sachs is, but I agree with JP without a doubt, 100% regarding manipulation factor as well. Why Goldman Sachs is betting big on Bitcoin ETFs. $419 million investment revealed. Goldman Sachs, one of the biggest banking players, is taking serious moves in the cryptocurrency world. According to their latest filings with the SEC, Goldman Sachs is now holding a massive $419 million in various Bitcoin ETFs. Again, Goldman Sachs was very silent on this matter as well, but it's now being revealed. So let's explore the motives and playouts behind crypto investments from Goldman Sachs. Their $419 million investment that they kept a secret from the public. until now. A closer look at their portfolio. One of the standout investments in their portfolio is the BlackRock's iShare Bitcoin Trust, IBIT. Goldman Sachs now owns almost 7 million shares of this fund. Their holdings of IBIT is worth $238 million. That's a lot of faith in Bitcoin since its launch earlier this year. IBIT has been a hit among institutional investors. It quickly climbed the ranks in daily trading volumes. This clearly indicates that even traditional financial giants like Goldman Sachs are seeing Bitcoin as a key player in the financial world, diversifying essentially with Fidelity and others. But that's not all. BlackRock is not the only ETF Goldman Sachs has invested into. They've also diversified their crypto investments. They essentially hold 1.5 million shares of Fidelity's Bitcoin ETF as well, FBTC, which is worth nearly $80 million. This approach shows that Goldman Sachs is serious about staying in the game while also managing their risk. They have diversified their portfolios to more ETFs as well. Goldman Sachs also has stakes in other well-known Bitcoin ETFs from companies like Bitwise and Grayscale. With all these investments combined, the bank's total holdings in Bitcoin ETFs reach an impressive $419 million as of June 30th, 2024. The growing institutional interest, this big move from Goldman Sachs comes at a time where more and more institutional investors are jumping on the Bitcoin ETF bandwagon. Over 500 institutional investors have already invested into these ETFs. 500 institutional investors, and they're not small institutional investors either way at all. For example, JP Morgan will come out and say Bitcoin is useless. For a very long time, he used to come out and say cryptocurrency is useless as well. But now, obviously, he has his own Onyx coin, essentially, that operates on ETH, but nobody can have access to it from the retail section. But even JP Morgan, who bashed the idea of Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, now has Onyx coin. And according to their S1 filings, also owns Bitcoin ETFs as well. But he will never admit to it. But the S1 filings don't lie because they're factual information filed with the SEC. Now, over 500 institutional investors have already invested into these ETFs. These show that Bitcoin is becoming more accepted in traditional finance circles as well. Recently, Bitcoin ETFs have seen a surge in interest regarding institutions. For instance, BlackRock's IBIT and Bitwise, BITB, pulled in $34.6 million and $16.5 million respectively in just 1 week. On the other hand, Fidelity's FBTC added $22.6 million. However, not all ETFs are doing as well. Some are losing value. Grayscale's GBTC, for example, saw outflows of $28.6 million on August 13th. Grayscale has always been a manipulator. Now, explain in a bit what I mean by that. Now, Goldman Sachs joins the big leagues. Goldman Sachs investments in Bitcoin ETFs places it alongside other major banks like JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley. Even though Goldman Sachs' CEO, David, once called Bitcoin a speculative asset, he now admits it could be a store of value, much like gold. By investing heavily in Bitcoin ETFs, Goldman Sachs is positioning itself to benefit from Bitcoin's future potential. This way, they don't have to own cryptocurrencies. This strategy is becoming more common as traditional financial institutions look for ways to get involved in crypto assets, like managing the risk. What this means for the future, in short, Goldman Sachs' $419 million investment in Bitcoin ETFs is a strong signal that the bank sees a bright future for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. This move highlights the growing demand for digital assets among institutions and shows that Bitcoin is gaining more and more acceptance in mainstream financial worlds and also cryptocurrencies, as more and more financial institutions are starting to embrace cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. This is clear that essentially this digital asset has a huge potential for growth and blockchain technology, which it definitely does. But that's the details about Goldman Sachs, another massive asset firm essentially kept very quiet on their spendings regarding their portfolios. It's like people inside the corporate sector are embarrassed to mention that they own Bitcoin. And then when it comes time for their S1 filings is when it's revealed they own Bitcoin. Because not a single one of them, not a peep came out, a single one of them that they owned Bitcoin ETFs until those S1 filings came through. But it's definitely showing growing interest when you got $419 million invested into it. Also, Wisconsin, which was putting their pension funds towards Bitcoin ETFs, has decided to expand on their pension funds as well. I covered that news a while ago on this live show regarding Wisconsin entering the fields of Bitcoin ETFs for pension funds as backings for Bitcoin ETFs. It turns out they have decided to invest more. I think it was roughly about 10 million more or 20 million more into Bitcoin ETFs. They're raising money right now for pension funds to be backed by Bitcoin ETFs as well from Wisconsin. Hi, Miles. When XRP reaches potential, Jim, good to see you as well. How you doing? Okay, regarding on the matter of, and by the way, the next news we're going to cover on tonight's live show is regarding CPI data and how it's affected the crypto markets, and why the crypto market is a little bit down today is because of the CPI data that's just came up. But before we go through that, let's go through this question from Jim. Jim, good to see you as well. How you doing? Woodhouse, good to see you. How you doing? Hi, Miles. When will XRP reach its potential? XRP, there's two scenarios for it to reach its potential. There's two scenarios. Now there's two scenarios. Before there was only one scenario. So the first scenario is essentially XRP needs, the first outcome is that XRP needs 3 green lights. The first green light for XRP is the case. The second green light for XRP is regulations. And the third green light for XRP is adoption. Why is the second green light regulations? Why is regulation needed for XRP to do well? Well, because due to Ripple's clientele, which is basically banks and institutions, regulations is important. Regulations create a safety net for banks and institutions. So the closer we go into the more we go into regulations, the more we go into regulations, the closer we are to that second green light, which is regulations. Banks and institutions need regulations to operate, so because that's their safety net. If there's no regulations in place and banks and institutions start using cryptocurrencies on a daily basis, they will later on be sued for probably operating in gray areas by the CFTC or the SEC, or other jurisdictions around the world as well could sue them as well. So there's that basis of they don't want to operate in gray areas. Some banks don't mind operating some sort of small gray areas where they know they won't be fined in, but if they're going to go full operational swing, they need to have some sort of regulations in place as a safety net. So Ripple, knowing that they want to be operating inside a financial space, they want to work with financial firms. Like, they want to work with financial firms need regulations. Otherwise, they can't go full blast into cryptocurrencies. So Ripple wants to work alongside banks and institutions. Well, banks and institutions need regulations. Otherwise, they're operating in gray areas. First green light was this case, which we just got. Second green light is regulations for Ripple. Third green light is adoption. After regulations is when the banks and institutions can go full operation, which comes to adoption, third green light. XRP always needed 3 green lights. I've always said this since 2023. I've said this. I said the case will come to an end in 2024. I said this in 2023. I said the case will come to an end in 2024. I said we're going to 2024 is when the world starts shifting into a digital era, which it is. This is the year of basically paperwork and some CBDC releasements. And basically regulations. So second green light and then third green light. Now, second outcome is ETF. We could get an ETF that will push it faster as well to a new price point. And the 2 green lights that were needed, which was regulations for cross-border payments and adoption, will not be needed. Well, obviously, they're still going to happen. But if we get an ETF, it's faster. It's going to be faster to propel it to a new height. Not overnight, over time. Just always keep that in mind. Not overnight, over time. Also, keep one thing in mind. That Grayscale is the #1 manipulator. Grayscale is the #1 manipulator when it comes to ETFs. Okay, Grayscale was the one that sued the SEC to launch Bitcoin ETFs. But Grayscale was also the one being the reason why Bitcoin ETFs went swinging downwards the moment ETFs were announced instead of going upwards. Because Grayscale was locking everybody's Bitcoins in for 6 months period, and then the locks came off. They were charging 2.5% fees. So when the locks came off, Grayscale was charged 2.5% fee. BlackRock was charged 0.25% fee. So everybody decided to sell, essentially, which caused the manipulation from Grayscale. Same scenario with Ethereum. ETF for Ethereum was launched. Grayscale locked everybody's Ethereum 6 months prior to it, released it, charged everybody 2.5%. Everybody decided to sell their ETF. Everybody decided to sell their Ethereum when the locks came off from Grayscale, which began Grayscale being the manipulation again. Just history repeat itself. Now, why am I mentioning this? Because Grayscale also owns a ridiculous amount of XRP. So again, they could be the manipulation factor once the ETFs do get launched right at the beginning. Price goes swinging downwards before it goes swinging upwards. So keep that in mind as well. It's either 3 green lights or that ETF. Now, this thing that just happened recently regarding the Chicago derivatives market space with XRP, it's definitely a step towards an ETF, without a doubt, because that is what is needed. You need futures first before you can get the ETF. So definitely a new milestone for XRP. The futures was needed for the ETF to happen. So it's getting there for an ETF, without a doubt. Why didn't XRP pump after the case? The reason why XRP didn't pump after the case is because some people are still in disbelief. Some people are still spreading FUD. Some people still think the case is not over and that an appeal could be on the verge as well. So there's a 30-day period from that case where Ripple has to pay $125 million. Within that 30-day period, there's also a 60-day period where the SEC can appeal a part of this case. So some people are still in disbelief. Some people still think this case can get appealed and will just continue on forever. And there's also that confusion stage from the retail section where they don't know if they should jump in or not due to the amount of FUD that's spreading. Some people are spreading essentially fake news and FUD and personal perspectives that Ripple paying $125 million is bad, and in reality, it isn't. And some people are saying it's bad for their credit score. In reality, it isn't. If anybody understood basic economics or how the world operates or how the corporate sector operates, you would understand that paying $125 million to be able to become operational is not bad for your credit. But also, some people are saying that, for example, Ripple can't sell XRP to institutional clients anymore inside the United States, which is absolutely BS. Some people are saying that Ripple can't sell XRP, for example, to institutions, and they have to file it with the SEC for the SEC to look into it before they can sell to institutions, which is absolute BS. The XRP, first of all, Ripple can sell XRP to institutions, but they have to do it indirectly through Uphold, for example, Uphold Exchange, which, if you remember, Uphold Exchange, about 6 months ago, Uphold Exchange announced that they're launching pre-funded, slowly, they're going to be launching pre-funded XRP accounts for institutions inside the United States. So it also seems like Ripple was getting ready for Uphold's scenario of becoming an indirect seller of XRP to US institutions. About 6 months ago, Uphold announced this announcement that they're building essentially funded XRP accounts for institutions. It's almost like Ripple knew, and Ripple and Uphold do have some incredible partnership going on together. But also they can sell XRP through their subsidiaries in Singapore as well under Singaporean law. So there's many ways they can sell XRP to institutions, but people inside the crypto space will tell you Ripple can't sell XRP to institutions, which is absolute lies. They can, and they don't have to let the SEC know either. They can do it. It can be indirectly as well. It has to be indirectly. But there's so much FUD, so much fake perspectives, so many people giving perspectives that don't understand how economics works, that don't understand how the corporate sector operates. So many major issues with that scenario. But yeah, some people are in disbelief. Some people think the case can still get appealed. Some people can't believe it's over, and they're still confused in the matter because of so much of perspectives that's going on inside the crypto space. Some people think that Ripple lost the case. That boggles my mind. There are actually some people online that think that Ripple lost the case. How? I don't know how they think this, but yeah. So many reasons on that perspective. But the biggest one being people are scared of a appeal on that 60-day period. And it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. And regarding an appeal, I said this as well. I said if the SEC appeals, it will get rejected. It will cause volatility on XRP's price point, but it will get rejected. There's no way in hell any judge is going to give a green light to Gary Gensler and his team of buffoons to go after Ripple again. I don't even think the SEC wants to go after Ripple again after what they went through. Now, let's see where we were. Inside the comment section, we were at Woodhouse. Good to see you. How you doing? I'm sorry I'm late. Nick from Woodhouse. How to skip social credit? How do you skip social credit? Cryptocurrency has been your best bet. Why didn't it? I already read that one. Miles, is it not true that XRP is not a security risk? So the banks and institutions don't need regulations as XRP is commodity. Yes. Okay. Look, regarding XRP, XRP is on paper, it's not a security. That is correct. Some people would also say that the banks don't need some sort of regulations to be able to operate on XRP because it's not a security. That's also incorrect, because the banks are going to be using it for cross-border purposes. And we don't have any sort of regulations covering cross-border purposes for cryptocurrencies within the United States. So the banks still need some sort of regulations for domestic cross-border payments and also international cross-border payments as well. Yes, the token itself is regulated, but how it's going to function isn't regulated. That's the issue. So they can use XRP and adapt it? Nope. Maybe ETFs for XRP is essential? Nope. Well, XRP for ETFs is good, yes. But don't get it confused. Just because XRP is regulated does not mean that the banks can use it for cross-border payments. We don't have regulations for cross-border payments. There's nothing being signed in for cross-border payments for cryptocurrencies to be happening or on an international basis or a domestic basis from the United States. Russia is the only one that signed a documentation for cross-border payments for cryptocurrencies, and so is Venezuela. Other than that, nobody's else signed it. Actually, Dubai did a payment with China as well for cross-border payments, but there are no regulations in place. The token itself is regulated, but we don't have regulations for cross-border payments. So don't get confused with the token is regulated, it can be adopted right now. We don't have regulations in place. They're two different things. So when can that happen? Soon? Well, based on regulations, the world is moving towards regulations. We have more regulations in 2024 than ever before. Can XRP be hundreds? Yes. Dollars by this point, 2025. Consider variable change. Can Miles see comments? Yes, I can see comments. Miles, what is Silk Road's Bitcoins? Is it seized assets? Yes. So, Funky Brother, regarding Bitcoin's seized assets, so United States holds a ridiculous amount of Bitcoin from Silk Road, which was a black market essentially operation on the other side of the internet, which I'm not going to go into detail, but the other side, the other part of the internet, which is the darknet part. So it was seized on that basis. We're going a ridiculous amount of Bitcoin. Now that Bitcoin has made its way into the United States wallets because it was seized. But also what's happening right now is there's a lot of transfers happening. The United States is moving around the seized Bitcoin they got from Silk Road. And that's causing a bit of a stir inside the market space. We're also going to talk about that tonight's live show as well. What was that to drink? Oh, it's water. It's just water. It's a glass bottle. Hi, Miles and Shiv. Good to see you. How you doing? Is Dubai a safe place to live? Sure. Hi, CMF. Let's go, Shiv. How you doing? So, Bitcoin price points and CPI data, which is quite important to talk about regarding CPI data, because even though the crypto market or Bitcoin in itself is supposed to be used as a hedge against inflation, unfortunately, it operates just like the stock market. Bitcoin price drops as markets react to US CPI data, which is the CPI data we're all waiting for that I revealed about a week ago on this live show. Bitcoin price fell by 3.8% after Wall Street opened on August 14th, reacting essentially to the US July Consumer Price Index CPI data and its implications for 2024 interest rate cuts. TradingView data reveals that Bitcoin's price dropped from its peak of $61,809 to a daily low of $58,883 within just 3 hours. This decline was accompanied by the 5% increase in the daily trading volumes, reaching $32.12 billion. Bitcoin and microeconomic data. Bitcoin lost $3,000 within hours as the July CPI data report showed inflation rising at the expected rate. According to the official press release from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, month-on-month inflation increased by 0.2% in July after falling by 0.1% in June. The annual rate rose to 2.9% compared to the 3% forecast and June's 3% as well. The all items index increased 2.9% over the 12-month ending in July, the smallest 12-month increase since March 2021. The index for all items less food and energy rose 3.2% over the last 12 months as well, the smallest 12-month increase in that index since April 2021. As a result, the CPI reading process, which had been bullish for risky assets, including crypto, turned out the other way around. For Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, market participants are now focusing on the Federal Open Market Committee, FOMC, meeting on September 18th, where the Federal Reserve is expected to make its first rate cut since March 2020. According to the CME's FedWatch tool, investors are pricing in 100% probability of a rate cut between 0.25% and 0.5% in September. What's happening on the Bitcoin front? Market makers are essentially often exploit major macroeconomics events to liquidate Bitcoin investors. Bitcoin's dropped to $58,883, coincidentally with a sharp move in Bitcoin's future market. Data from CoinGlass shows that over $22.26 million in Bitcoin long positions were liquidated today, with a daily count still ongoing at the time of publication. Over the last 4 hours, more than $25.94 million in long positions were liquidated as well. Total liquidations in the crypto market reached $143.66 million, with $85.6 million of that being long positions that were liquidated today. Long liquidations typically occur when the price of traded assets suddenly drops in value. This happens because investors who are bullish on the asset and open long positions face losses on the market moves against them. Bulls should consider a possible drop to $58,700, where there are buy orders exceeding $91.27 million. So, CPI data came out and inflation is still too high. What they were expecting was the crypto market space, the Bitcoin, essentially, Bitcoin in general, or cryptocurrencies in general, to obviously go against inflation. When the CPI data came out, inflation was too high today. And they were expecting, Bitcoin cryptocurrencies to do a reversal and go up because they're supposed to hedge against inflation. Ironically, once again, Bitcoin and Bitcoin itself didn't, do a hedge situation against the CPI data or the inflation, which it was the purpose it was created for. And the only reason that Bitcoin is not hedging against inflation, even though it's created to go against inflation, it was created to go against essentially manipulation when it comes to fiat currencies and inflation. That was the main purpose of Bitcoin since the day it was created, to go against fiat currencies because of so much inflation and corruption. Unfortunately, Bitcoin reacts the opposite way, not going against inflation, but going with inflation. So the reason why Bitcoin is not hedging against inflation is because look at the people that are holding Bitcoin. I don't mean the retail section, but look at the people that are holding Bitcoin. We're talking about massive governments in terms of the US government holding Bitcoin. We're talking about the UK government holding Bitcoin. We're talking about Russia holding Bitcoin, Russian government holding Bitcoin, North Korean government holding Bitcoin, Iran holding Bitcoin, China holding Bitcoin. I mean, the list goes on, the amount of governments that are holding Bitcoin. So look at these governments that are holding Bitcoin. And then we move away from the governments and we go into the corporation sector. Look at the amount of corporations that are holding Bitcoin. The people that manipulate every single thing around you on a daily basis are the ones holding Bitcoin in huge volumes. So just think of it that way. On why isn't Bitcoin hedging against inflation? Bitcoin was created to go against inflation, but it never does at all. It always just goes with the CPI data instead of hedging against it. Because look at who's holding it. Yes, essentially everybody talks about how nobody owns Bitcoin, which is correct. Nobody owns Bitcoin. Nobody's in control of it, but they can manipulate it. So next time, if you're wondering to yourself, why is Bitcoin not hedging against inflation? Because that's why it was created for. The reason why is look at the governments holding it. And then after you're done looking at the governments that hold Bitcoin, look at the corporations holding Bitcoin. And after you're done looking at the corporations that hold Bitcoin, look at the banks that hold Bitcoin. These are the three groups of people that manipulate everything around you, and they're holding Bitcoin. So that's the main reason why Bitcoin isn't hedging against inflation, because look at who's holding it. Manipulation is all around you. Doesn't matter what you hold. Now, but so far the data is a little bit bad as well. Let's go inside the comment section before I reveal the next news to you. Miles, in your humble opinion, will quant hit an alternate this bull run? Ooh. Okay, Don, in my opinion, actually, I missed out quite a lot of questions by the looks of it. Sorry. Miles, it must be coming up to a year that you haven't had a coffee. Yeah, it has been a very long time, actually. No, actually, I did sneak in a few coffees this year. Cold coffee, though. Iced coffee. I'm being honest. I did say I was going to quit coffee, and I have quit coffee for a very long time. But then, obviously, I had a few iced coffees when the weather was very hot in London. But the most you get in San Francisco sparkling and Stella. Miles, tell me you quit vape now. Sure. What about Lambrini Woodhouse? Let me see where we are at in the comment section. Miles, in your humble opinion, will quant hit an alternate this bull run? Okay. A very long time ago, I told everybody that quant is an asset that was pushed upon people in the retail section by crypto influencers who maybe misunderstood what quant was, you could say, where they told everybody to get involved into quant because it's the next financial system. It's got 11 million tokens. It's being used by the Bank of England, and everybody got involved in quant. And I said to everybody at that time, don't do it. Now, look, quant is not a meme coin or a bad asset or any sort of way, but it does have decent partnerships. It has one Italian firm. It's partnered with a Coral, but so is half the crypto space at this point. So they're just sharing data with everybody. But also the fake news scenario as well, that quant is working with the Bank of England. There was actually a time period where people were arguing, and some people were saying quant is working with the Bank of England, and the other group of people were saying XRP is working with the Bank of England. And obviously the people that were correct from those two groups, quant or XRP, was XRP. Quant is not working with the Bank of England. And quant was used alongside other crypto projects for test purposes, not to be used. And it was a participation project. But every single crypto influencer ran with the news, quant is working with the Bank of England. But if you read through the fine print, you would realize that the Bank of England was doing a participation project, and any crypto project could have participated, and they did. It wasn't just quant. And at the end, nothing happened. And quant wasn't chosen for any sort of major factor role in the Bank of England. But they do still have decent partnerships, one Italian financial firm with billions on the assets under management. So they have decent partnerships. That one big lie of Bank of England, quant has never worked with the Bank of England, just one participation project. It's not going to be used by the Bank of England either. It's just, again, a participation project. I said all this when people were arguing, a year ago, essentially, quant is the chosen one, 12 million tokens, and so on. But crypto influencers were lying to people. They were just filling their own bags, I'll be honest. But on the topic of, is quant a bad project? No. Was, the majority of the retail section listening to moronic people? Yes. A lot of people lied to you about the potential of quant. Quant has potential, but the potential that people were telling you was a massive lie. If you're looking for projects in the financial space, look at contracts. The easiest way to tell if any crypto project is going to do well, genuinely, the easiest way to tell if any crypto project is going to do good or bad, any crypto project, if it's going to do good or bad, it's very easy to tell. Yes, you can look at the basic stuff, their team leaders and their CEOs and executives and board members and their employees and their roadmap and so on. But these are all basic stuff that, the roadmap, especially can AI, ChatGPT pretty much writes everybody's roadmap these days. On their white papers as well, is pretty much done by ChatGPT. Every crypto project that pumps out, every new one, it's just ChatGPT. It's just all AI written white papers and roadmaps. What you should be looking at is their contracts. And by contracts, I mean their partnerships. The easiest way to tell if a crypto project is going to be used for its actual purpose, which is utility, on a large scale, look at who they're contracted out to, who they're doing their developments with. If there's a crypto project saying, we're going to do real world assets, we're going to do tokenizations on a large scale, we're going to revolutionize the real estate market. Good. These are all good things. But do you have any partnerships, major contracts in play? No, then you're going to achieve nothing. Now, you look at other crypto projects where they have contracts with IBM, they have contracts with they have contracts with JP Morgan, they have contracts with Citibank, DBS Bank, and Deutsche Bank, and the list goes on, or Standard Chartered Bank, or HSBC Bank, and so on. So if you want to be in the financial space, especially crypto projects, the easiest way to tell if they're going to do good or bad, look at their contracts, genuine contracts, and look at their developments with these contracts in play. That's the easiest way to tell if you have a successful crypto project in your hands or a bad project. Because a lot of projects will claim to do tokenizations on a large scale, revolutionize the real estate world. They'll all claim these things. But how you can tell, who can and who can't is contracts. Who has the better contracts in play? Who has the better developers in play? Who has the most contracts in play? Who has the most money transfer the licensings in place, especially with the financial projects? That's what all that matters on. So regarding the factor of quant, it has decent partnerships. You were lied to. Quant is not going to be working with the Bank of England. It was one participation project only. If you're looking at financial projects, XRP is definitely the #1 financial project. XLM and XDC pretty much rank in second place. And ACH is pretty much ranking in 3rd place in terms of financial products. ACH has more money transfer licensings than Quant. ACH has more partnerships and contracts in place than Quant on a worldwide scale. But obviously, everybody looks at Quant's tokens, circulations. 12 million tokens, it must be excellent. Just because that's 12 million tokens, it does not mean it's excellent. It's not working with the Bank of England either. So a very long time ago, I dropped Quant. Very long time ago, I dropped Quant from my top 3 to from my top 5, and then from my top 10, I just kept on dropping it off the list. But personal preference, based on factual information, not financial advice. Not financial advice. So regarding what figure can Quant reach in a bull run, let's see, is what I would say. Manipulation is great for the space if you know how to play it and you don't panic. Facts. Quant is a flop coin. Miles, you ever heard the greeting A up? Apparently it's from Yorkshire and no one down south really knows it. No, I've not heard of it. What's wrong with coffee? Nothing is wrong with coffee. Manipulation is great for the market space if you know how to play and don't panic. Facts. Manipulation is excellent for the marketplace. Miles, what is a sufficient amount of XRP to hold if held long term to have a profitable future? What's a sufficient amount of XRP to hold for a prospering future ahead of yourself? It depends on your budget, is what I would say. If you have, for example, some people might be only able to afford 1,000 XRP, for example. Some people might be able to only afford 1,000 XRP, and some people might be able to afford 10,000 XRP, some people 50,000, 100,000, and so on. What I would say is that even if you hold, 500 XRP or 1,000 XRP, you're still going to outpace people who hold more XRP than you because they will probably most likely sell. Most people will sell their XRP at $1 to $2. Some people will sell, the majority will jump up by $3. So if you're willing to hold past everybody else, then you can probably outpace everybody else. If you outpace everybody else on the long term, you will have a lot more money. So even 1,000 XRP will go a long way, or even 500 XRP. It all depends on how long basically you're willing to hold. And when the time comes, borrowing against it instead of selling it, because when you borrow against your crypto assets, you don't pay tax on debt, but you do pay a little bit of fees, banking fees, because you're borrowing against your assets and using them as collateral. But no tax on that basis. What figure can Quant reach in bull run? We'll have to see. Thanks for that. No problem. Will Solana go up further, do you think? Do I think Solana is going to go further? Yes. The reason why I believe Solana is going to go further is the meme coin section on Solana is very heavy based. Solana is very retail section based. Now, Solana used to be very VC based. Venture capitalists were mostly inside of Solana when FTX was running the show. And they owned quite a lot of Solana. Venture capitalists were very heavily into Solana. Also, the refunding situation is happening on FTX as well, if nobody knew about that. So FTX recently came up in the courts again, and they have to pay about 12-point-something billion in fines. So some of those fines could be also in Solana as well. And knowing FTX, they did hold quite a lot of Solana. So if you do hold Solana as well, you might want to keep on yourself updated. I'll definitely keep people updated on that matter as well. But FTX came back into the show. They're being resued for some other bases as well. And it's about $12 billion something, and probably a lot of it is Solana. But Solana used to be venture capitalist based and, essentially FTX based and so on, very corporative. And then over time, Solana became the king of meme coin blockchains. So as long as the meme coin trend continues, Solana will, climb the ranks. On the basis of Solana, again, I wish the best for whatever project anybody's holding, so I wish the best if you're holding Solana, AVAX, Cardano, Quant, whatever project you're holding. I wish, the best on everybody, that everybody does extremely well in life and makes a huge profit and buys themselves or their family a house. The best wish you can give anyone. So But on the basis of putting that to one side, regarding Solana, as long as the retail section is still into meme coins, it's going to climb the ladder. The moment the retail section starts losing interest in meme coins is pretty much when Solana starts dying out slowly. Because in reality, Solana is very congested, it gets very slow, and it gets very expensive sometimes. And sometimes the payments don't even go through. The last time I used Solana, I tried to make a transaction on Solana and it crashed 5 times back to back, and I gave up on Solana. Genuinely tried to do a transaction through Phantom Wallet. 5 times the transaction crashed. I was like, okay, this is definitely not the chain for me. And the worst part is we're not even that big inside the crypto space. The crypto space is this big. Genuinely, the crypto space is this big, and it's already showing major signs of crashing. And when the crypto space goes from this big to this big, I don't know how far it's going to be able to carry on. And Solana's crashed 11 times. People look past Solana's crashings 11 times. The last time Solana crashed, it was 4 hours. I don't forget stuff. Okay, especially when it comes to business, I don't forget stuff. I know exactly the crashes they had. I know exactly how long they lasted on the majority of projects, the ones that matter. So Solana's last crash, the 11th time they crashed, 4 hours it was down for, major issues. Apparently 2 weeks before the crash, the Solana developers, some knew that there was going to be a crash and a congestion situation happening, but they didn't bother fixing it. So it will go further up as long as the retail section are still in the category of meme coins. Solana has a future in meme coin sections. But Solana as a payment future processor or something on that scenario is never going to happen. It crashes too much. It's just not possible. When you want to be a payment sector, it's not possible. But for the retail section, pushing Solana higher and higher for meme coins, sure. It's genuinely the king of meme coins, Solana. And in my books, it's where it will remain. Solana will always remain as the king of meme coins as a blockchain. But it won't go past that. It will never be the king of financial payment systems. It will never be the king of real asset tokenizations. It will always be the king of meme coins. So as long as it remains the king of meme coins as a blockchain, the retail section is behind it. They'll push it higher and higher. But the moment the retail section loses interest is when it gets a bit tricky. Not PDF information, long. Your thoughts on XDC. So Rachel, what I would say is, as long as the retail section are behind it, it will climb. The moment the retail section loses interest on meme coins is when it starts going south. And even if people say, no, Solana's more than meme coins, the reason why the Solana phones that they built sold out was because they were giving out free meme coins on their Solana phones. Solana phones were released inside the market space. Nobody wanted to pretty much buy them. Actually, Solana phones were reviewed as the worst Android phones possibly to buy by many high-grade, essentially, phone reviewers on YouTube. But it was a phone that nobody wanted to buy, pretty much, Solana phones. And then they said, we're giving out free meme coins for anybody that buys Solana phones. And then the phone sold out. It will always remain, Solana will always remain the king of meme coins. And that's as far as it will go. So as long as retail have interest in meme coins, Solana is sticking around, is what I would say. So price should climb with that on that basis. Your thoughts on XDC? My thoughts on XDC, excellent project in the financial space, incredible project. R3 Corridor is obviously using XDC, and many documentations does state that. They're also using R3 Corridor and 47 Japanese banks. It's also connected to the world economy. It's also connected to the Bank of International Settlements. Multiple testings were done on R3 Corridor as well from multiple bankers, not just Japanese bankings. In general, XDC is an incredible project, very underrated project, XDC, extremely underrated. When the tables turn and the projects that nobody wants to look into, like XDC or XLM and XRP, I say that, a lot of people will say, no, everybody looks into XRP. No, a lot of people hate on XRP. There's a difference between looking into XRP and hating on XRP. But when the tables turn, XRP, XLM, and XDC will climb those ranks in the financial space. They have more money transfer license as a collective, more partnerships and contracts as a collective than the entire crypto space put together. And that is saying something. You said you're avoiding coffee. Why? I have it every day. Oh, it's just I was having too much coffee. The reason why I stopped drinking coffee is because I was having about 8 cups a day, which wasn't great. I mean, sometimes 6, sometimes 3 or 4, but it was all black coffee. All I drink is Americano, back to back. I used to, and it wasn't good. So that's why I stopped. And yeah. So now I just drink water instead. For a very long time I've been doing this, but I had a few iced coffees this year as well. Almost every day. For me, even one XRP is. Miles, when is the bull run going to start? I know we started when the spot ETFs Bitcoins was approved, but I'm talking about the proper run. Well, the proper run is going to come from regulations. There's many factors that can propel this brewing part two. One being this whole XRP situation. They need to pay the fine. They need to pay $125 million. They need to pass that 60-day period as well, so the appeal situation goes away and nobody's thinking about appealing on. Nobody has that thought, oh, the SEC might appeal. So that 60-day period needs to go. That 30-day period needs to go. Second, the presidential elections will definitely have a massive outcome for cryptocurrencies. Now, obviously, Trump being massively positive on cryptocurrencies. If Trump is chosen, then the markets will react in a positive way, and the cryptocurrency market will react in a positive way, and so on. If Kamala is chosen, they will react the opposite. But apparently, Kamala Harris is going to be having a meeting with many crypto firm executives and board members and CEOs, and apparently also she's chosen somebody that's to be a part of a Biden administration that's very crypto friendly. But the interesting part about Kamala, some people might be thinking, what's interesting about Kamala? Hear me out. The only interesting part about Kamala Harris is administration, is that one person and her team is a Ripple employee. So one person inside the Kamala administration is a ex-Ripple employee. She was hired, or he was hired, sorry, for the Kamala administration, being an ex-Ripple employee as well. A very high-ranking ex-Ripple employee. Kamala Harris is pro-CBDCs. Ripple's building a CBDC platform, actively running a CBDC platform. Kamala is pro-CBDCs, Trump against CBDCs. You can see where this is going. But many factors. One being the presidential election is going to propel it. Two, this whole 30-day, 60-day period needs to go away regarding Ripple. Miles, can you explain borrowing against it? I still, to this day, don't get it. Okay, I'll tell you now. Wasn't XRP going to pump $3 after the case, then drop? Still in play? It's still in play. But this 30-day period, 60-day period needs to go away. Miles, can you explain borrowing against? I still, to this day, don't get it. Okay, regarding borrowing against your crypto assets, it's very easy. So you would use your crypto assets. For example, let's say I have 10,000 XRP. I would go to, for example, HSBC Bank that's offering lending and borrowing services within regulations. And I would say I want to use my 10,000 XRP as collateral to borrow against it. HSBC Bank would give me a certain amount, not 10,000. For example, let's say each XRP is a dollar. For example, in this scenario, each XRP is $1, and I go to HSBC Bank and I borrow against my crypto assets. They're not going to give me $10,000. They're going to give me 4 or 5, depending on the relationship I have with them. It could be 6. So they'll give me 6,000, for example. Let's just say I have a very good relationship with them. They give me 6,000. I'll give them 10,000 XRP as collateral. And once I pay that money back, I'll build a better relationship with them. When XRP raises in value, I can borrow against it again and again and again. And you don't pay tax on collateral. So the money that I borrow from the bank and using my XRP as collateral, I don't pay tax on that borrowed money from the bank at all. But if I sell my XRP, I'm paying taxes. But if I give my XRP to a crypto platform that's fully regulated, or a bank that's fully regulated, and I borrow against my crypto assets, I don't pay tax on the borrowed money the bank gives me, because it's not possible to be paying taxes on somebody else's money, especially on the bank's money. So on the borrowed money, I can't pay taxes. You don't pay tax on collateral, on debt, collateral. You don't pay tax on debt, but you pay fees instead. But as long as you build that relationship with a bank, the fees will get lower and lower. But also, as the value of the asset grows and grows and grows, you just borrow again, pay off the previous one, borrow again, pay off the previous one. Also, you can use your money for the best ROI. So find something, a project in terms of real estate will also be beneficial to build something or rent something, or in terms of real estate, and then pay that money back and borrow again, pay that money back and borrow again. And then you always have your XRP. You'll never lose your XRP. You'll always have your XRP. And you have money on the side too. But you have to do something with that money on the side that you borrow. Don't just let it sit there. But I also said when the time comes, I'm going to be helping everybody to be able to borrow against their assets and use them as collateral, because I'm going to be doing, when the time comes, through either HSBC Bank or Standard Chartered Bank and so on, and I have some sort of relationship with them. So I'm going to be doing it through them. So if anybody wants to use my contacts as well through HSBC Bank or NatWest Bank as well, you can. If you're a member of the CMF, if you're a member of this live show, you're inside a Telegram group, you can have access to my resources when the time comes as well. Was an XRP, there we go. Do you think if I have 5,000 XRP and hold till 2028, will I be a millionaire or a multimillionaire? You will be having an incredible future ahead of yourself. Because if I say anything on figure points, we consider financial advice. After many explanations since last year, now do you get it? Surely you would have to sell XRP before the bull run ends, as the price will drop. So sell and buy after the bull run. Okay, Fiery Jack, what you're not considering is the utility part. What you're not considering is the utility part of cryptocurrencies. So what everybody needs to understand, okay, is that for a while now, since 2023, going into 2024, I told everyone the world is pretty much on a change. I said the end of the road is 2023, and the world changing into a digital era is 2024 starting. And in 2024, we had Bitcoin ETFs for the first time ever. We had Ethereum ETFs for the first time ever. We have regulations in the EU. We have regulations in Russia, in Hong Kong, in Japan, in Singapore. We even have some regulations inside the United States. We have some regulations in Canada. We have regulations in United Arab Emirates, in Kuwait, in Bahrain. Even in Iran, we have regulations for cryptocurrencies. We have some sort of regulations in Australia as well. We have ETFs launched in multiple jurisdictions around the world. We have a lot of things happening in 2024 that we've never had before. Do you know why? It's because the world is shifting into a digital era starting now, 2024. We have more regulations, more institutions, and more banks inside the crypto space than ever before in 2024. These are all indications of we're going into utility, which was the main purpose of cryptocurrencies. So the more we go into utility, the more the utility part of those cryptocurrencies comes into use. Next year, we're going to have so many CBDC releases. So this year, we had some CBDC releases from India and different types of countries, and small groups and portions that release their CBDCs. But next year, we're going to have Brazil releasing their CBDCs. It's going to be called DREX. They already announced it, and the Bank of International Settlements is ecstatic about Brazil launching so quickly and getting things up and ready. We're also going to have the EU launching their CBDCs next year as well. The EU CBDC is going to be real payments happening on CBDCs, but they're going to be in small groups as well. And we're going to have India expanding more into their CBDCs. A lot more jurisdictions are going to be releasing their CBDCs starting next year as well. So we're going to go into utility more and more and more every year. The main purpose of cryptocurrencies was what? The main purpose of cryptocurrencies was not buy, sell, 4-year cycles. That was never the main purpose of cryptocurrencies. It was never buy, sell, 4-year cycles. It was utility. So we're going into utility. Now, why I'm saying this is because a lot of people are still looking at cryptocurrencies like they're stocks. Buy, sell, or futures trading. That's all they think about. Look at utility is what we're going into. Okay, consider that factor as well. Now, 98% of the world, in terms of XRP's utility, 98% of the world, 98% of the world, centralized banks are in CBDCs. That is according to the Bank of International Settlements. The banks of all centralized banks, 63 centralized banks are under the Bank of International Settlements, including G20 countries and G7 countries. 98% of the world in CBDCs. They're either the centralized banks or either in research stage, testing stage, implementation testing stage, or getting ready to release on their CBDCs. But 98%. Now, the Bank of International Settlements has a PDF documentation titled Cross-Border Payments, where Ripple is listed on that documentation alongside SWIFT for cross-border payments. The Bank of International Settlements also has multiple other documentations where Ripple and XRP are mentioned upon them. Now, Ripple, out of 24,000 crypto projects, is the only one with a CBDC platform, pretty much that's active. Just keeping this in mind. 24,000 crypto projects inside the crypto space. We have multiple, essentially, inside the crypto space, we have so much competition in the AI category, in the Web3 category, the gaming category, the data category, and so on. But out of 24,000 crypto projects, 24,000, there's only one with a CBDC platform that's active. There's only one that's won multiple CBDC awards. Most people don't even know that there is a such thing as CBDC awards. Ripple has an active CBDC platform, won multiple CBDC awards, works pretty much alongside those massive speeches at the World Economic Forum, is on the Bank of International Settlements public documentations for cross-border payments, also works with this essentially International Monetary Fund, and 98% of the world is in CBDCs. And next year, we have so many countries releasing CBDCs. And all of these countries are also under the Bank of International Settlements. Even the BRICS countries that everybody talks about, Russia and Brazil and South Africa, they're all under the Bank of International Settlements. So is the United States. So consider utility, 98% in centralized bank CBDC. So what I'm trying to say is stop thinking to yourself, oh, we're still stuck in this 4-year cycle. Crypto is not about 4-year cycles. Crypto was never about 4-year cycles. It was never about buy, sell. It was never about futures. It was about utility. And we are going into utility. So consider that main factor, which was the main purpose of cryptocurrencies. So get the mindset, move away from the mindset of buy, sell futures or 4-year cycles. Move away from that mindset because the world is shifting and you're not shifting with it. We have more regulations in place in 2024 than ever before, than any other year in crypto. In the cryptocurrency space, we have more regulations in 2024, more institutions, more developments, more releasements on different jurisdictions on ETFs, more of everything in terms of utility purposes, slowly going into it. So consider the main factor of cryptocurrencies, which you're not considering, which is utility. Let's see where we were. So Jack, consider that factor. Hello, Miles and CMF. Scott, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? I'm just waiting for the European feeling where every week you're Xing your portfolio. Why did Render go onto Solana if it's crap? The reason why Render went on Solana is because it was cheaper to operate. But you can't still state the facts that Solana's not. If you've ever used Solana, you would understand that it's not quick sometimes, and payments don't process sometimes. I said, the last time I used Solana, tried to make a payment on Solana through Phantom Wallet, it crashed 5 times before the payment went through, and I gave up. I thought, this is not me. I'm never going to be using this chain ever again. I can't be sitting there going, it's not working. It's not working. It's not working. I can't be doing this all day long. I would rather have sent. Miles, how was your day? But they're moving on Solana because it's cheaper than Ethereum. Miles, how was your day? How's your parents and business? Scott, business very well. Parents doing excellent as well. How's your day, Scott? And my day was extremely busy. Bro, HBAR is the best. Do you like HBAR? I do. HBAR is also an incredible project. A lot of people might want to hate on HBAR as well, but it's an incredible project, HBAR. Very good future ahead of itself, without any doubt. So yeah, I do agree with you. HBAR is an incredible project. What up, Miles and family? Hope all is well though. Ray, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? What do you think of Bonk? Thanks. Rachel, what do I think of Bonk? Okay. What I would say is, going back to what I was just pointing out regarding the institutions, okay, you need to, anybody that's focused on Pepe's granddad or Bonk or Camel token or Frog token or Cat token, and it's basically the retail section. You'll never find anybody coming in with huge amounts of money from the institutional sector and essentially entering the fields and going, I want to get me some Frog token, or I want to get me some Bonk token, or Camel token or something. It's always people from the retail section who want to do this. Why I'm saying this is because your focus, if anybody is, on Bonk or so on, again, I wish everybody the best. I hope you make incredible amounts of gains, whatever token you're holding, and you're able to buy yourself a house or your family a house. Putting that to one side, what you need to do, what everybody talks about inside the crypto space, is follow trends. No, everybody wants to follow the trend inside the market space. Now, the trend that's happening right now, it's not degens, it's not meme coins. Although it might look like it's degens and meme coins, it's really not. The next clientele entering the crypto space that are slowly entering is institutional clientele. Okay, the next clientele entering is institutional clientele. Many executives and board members have already mentioned that the next clientele, institutional clientele, Morgan Stanley has 15,000 financial advisors activated to bring their high-profile clientele into the crypto space. 15,000 financial. Do you think those 15,000 financial advisors that are starting off with Bitcoin ETFs, by the way, are getting ready to later on introduce BONK token to their clientele, to their high-profile clientele? Do you think any of those 15,000 financial advisors, by the way, shows massive confidence to the crypto space, are getting ready to essentially offer a BONK token or Camel token to their clientele? Now, some people might think to themselves, well, we don't need the institutions, we don't need the banks, we don't need regulations. But unfortunately, we don't live in a la-la land. We live in the reality world. And the reality world is those people will be entering whether people like it or not. So what the question you should be asking yourself is, do you want to be holding Camel token when the institutions are coming inside the crypto space and buying legitimate crypto assets, where they're buying Bitcoin or Ethereum or XRP or XLM or XDC, or AVAX is doing incredibly well for itself inside the institutional space as well. JP Morgan using it on a subnet green, Citibank using on a subnet green, AVAX chosen by California's DVLA for 46 million cars are going to be on AVAX's blockchain. So what you should be asking yourself is, the next clientele entering the crypto space are institutional investors. They're entering slowly. Do you think any of these institutional investors are lining up to buy Cat token, Pepe's granddad, Pepe's grandma, or any of the token that's coming up from the meme coin category? No, the retail section are wasting their time on that particular crypto area right now. Whereas the institutions are entering slowly. The institutional investors, all the institutions themselves, they're slowly entering and picking up the legitimate assets off the ground. While as the retail section are dropping the actual assets and going towards Pepe's granddad for a very oddly reason. What I'm trying to say is stay focused. Okay, we are in the stage of regulations, banks, and institutions. And regulations, what you should be doing is choosing crypto projects that will favor you and benefit you. People want to go against the banks. People want to, from the retail section, they want to go against the banks. They want to go against the regulations. They want to go against the institutions. What you should be doing instead is choosing crypto projects that benefit when the regulations come. So when the regulations come through, you will benefit from those crypto projects that you're holding. When the institutions come through, you will benefit from the institutions coming through. When the banks come through more, you will benefit from the banks on the crypto projects you've chosen. But if you're holding BONK, if you're holding Pepe's granddad or Pepe's grandma or Pepe's stepbrother, there's not a single bank lining up to buy that token. There's not a single institutional investor lining up to buy that token. There's not a single institution lining up to buy that token. But they're all lining up to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, XLM, XDC, and the list just goes on. AVAX, for example, or Chainlink, for example, or NEAR, for example. But not a single one of them is lining up to buy BONK or the other ones. But what I'll tell you is who buys BONK. Retail section and hedge funds. Not even joking. Hedge funds buy meme coins. If you don't know, now you know. Hedge funds buy meme coins, but not on the basis because they see potential in meme coins. No, it's because they love to manipulate the retail section. So a few small-time hedge fund companies once got caught out for manipulating meme coins. So what they used to do was join these Telegram groups that pump and dump meme coins. And they would join them on the purpose of dumping on the creators of that meme coin themselves before the creator of the meme coin dumps on the rest of Telegram followers. So they would jump in, and they got caught out. They would jump in, small-time hedge funds. They would jump inside these Telegram groups, and they would go, yes, this token is going to go to the moon. They'll pump it up and pump it and pump it and pump, and then drop it on the creator themselves too. But hedge funds used to do that. Small-time hedge funds, not big ones. So what I would say is, the next clientele is institutional clientele. Ask yourself, are institutional clientele waiting in line to buy BONK, or are they waiting in line to buy a legitimate crypto asset? And the answer should be legitimate crypto asset, which means you should be going towards legitimate assets. And if you want, have a very, very small portion, very small portion in the zoo category, which is what I call those meme coins. They're all basically zoo tokens. But have a small category in that. But the majority of focus should be on the other side, the legitimate assets. choosing crypto projects that will benefit you from the banks and institutions and regulations. We're better off. That's what I would say. Is there a coin that you are high other than XLM, XRP, XDC, ACH, and HBAR? No, that's pretty much the list of the financial category. Hi, Miles, the CMF family. Is it time to turn on my CMF TV? Let's go, TMZ. How you doing? So, Rachel, that's what I would say. Hope that was helpful. How long before XRP ETF? Well, first we got to get the futures, which has just been applied for. And once that futures gets a green light on the Chicago Exchange, then after the futures of XRP, we should be on the verge for an XRP ETF, because first futures needs to happen, which it is happening by the looks of it. So we're one step closer than ever before to an XRP ETF. You give bank XRP, they give you XRP, you sell, pay off the advantage. Does that no? They give you dollars. The bank will give you RL USD or USDT or something like that. The bank will give you dollars or pounds or as a collateral basis for your tokens. If you borrow against your XRP, how will you pay off what you borrowed with what currency? So the bank will give you, if I borrow from HSBC Bank in the UK, the Bank of HSBC will give me British pounds, and they'll take my XRP as collateral. And when I want to pay that money back, I'm paying it back in British pounds. Or I'll be paying it back in CBDCs, or I'll be paying it back essentially in USDT or USDC or LUSD, for example. How can we lend? I want to learn how to be like a bank by lending my cryptos and collecting money. Can you explain and describe the procedure, please? How can you lend crypto? Well, if you decide to start your own bank, first of all, it's illegal. If you do that without any sort of money transfer licensings, you would be sued by your own jurisdictions. So if you're from the United States, you'll probably be sued by the IRS first, and then you'll be sued by the SEC next, and then the CFTC next as well. If you're trying to operate as, and also the FIDC will also try to sue you as well. If you try to operate as a bank, if you're inside the United States, if you try to do in the UK, the FCA will sue you to the ground as well. So if you want to operate as a bank, first you need to have money transfer licensings. You need to also have a certain amount of money to operate as a bank. So in some jurisdictions, you need to have $100 million to open up your own bank. In some jurisdictions, it's a little bit less, and some more to operate as a bank, to be able to provide lending and borrowing services. So it's not as easy as going into business, but you can start, for example, a loan type of situation with some small time licensings and operating gray areas, which is not really recommended, because if you don't have your accountings and sortings ready, things can go south on that matter. But there's always a way around it, and I'll look into it more for you if you are interested in that space, because it's also something that I'm offering for my own company, but I'm doing it through third parties. So I'll look into it more so you don't operate in gray areas, because you never want to operate in gray areas. Gray areas means you get sued later on. It means you have free will for about 6 months to 10 years, and then somewhere down the road, they'll sue you. Hi, Miles. In yesterday's live show, somebody mentioned that Uphold is restricted about 20 projects. XDC as well, but still, I am buying XDC from Uphold. Okay, you're still buying XDC from Uphold, but somebody said that 20 projects as well as XDC. Okay. So on yesterday's live show, somebody said that essentially 20 projects are restricted on Uphold Exchange. Okay, it's not for all jurisdictions, just to point that out. So somebody on the live show yesterday mentioned that Uphold has restricted 20 projects, including XDC. It's not for all jurisdictions. So what Uphold offers to Canadian citizens will be very different to what they essentially offer to United States citizens or European citizens or British citizens and so on. So all exchanges will offer different crypto projects based on different jurisdictions. For example, some exchanges that are now operating in the EU don't offer USDT at all to EU citizens because of the MiCA regulations. but those same exchanges will offer USDT outside of the EU. Great explanation, thanks. No problem, Jack. Anytime. So that's what that meant. And TMC, I'll look into it more for you. No problem. Regarding the bank situation, lending, borrowing situation. Yeah, Shell's going to invest. Peeps, second cousin. I have been purchasing XDC on Uphold. Let's go, Scott. AI wishes it was Miles. AI wishes it was Miles. Brooke, thank you so much for the kind words. AI wishes it was Miles. Thanks so much for the kind words, Brooke. Brother, have you had $4,000 to invest in crypto? What would you buy? Thank you. If I had $4,000, what would I buy in crypto? If I had $4,000, I would be going the legitimate way, and I would banking it on not overnight profit, but over time profits. So based on utility purposes and factual documentations. I always say everybody's entitled to an opinion, but opinions are not correct and facts are facts. As long as you stick to the paperwork, you'll be perfectly fine on the long-term basis. So I would be going, if I only had $4,000 to invest, I put XRP is one I would be choosing for a long-term purpose to borrow against. XLM and XDC and ACH. I would just base it on these four. You can swap out ACH for HBAR if you wanted to, or put it back. Your choice. But I would say out of these projects, XRP, XLM, XDC, ACH, and HBAR. Or HBAR and ACH. But I would keep it in the financial category. The number one category inside the crypto space is the finance category. Money going digital is the number one category inside the crypto space. In terms of categories, everybody says, AI is the best category, or Web3 is the best category, or, gaming is the best category in the crypto space. It's all nonsense. The number one category inside the crypto space is finance. Money going digital is more important than any other category inside the crypto space. So the finance category is number one inside the crypto space. Do you know what number two is? Data. Data is more important than oil, is what I used to say in 2023, and I still say it. Ironically, in 2024, Saudi Arabia's government said on a news article that they wrote in their own country, they said that data is more important than oil, is what Saudi Arabia said in 2024. They said data is more important than oil. I said this in 2023. Number one category inside the crypto space is finance. Money going digital. XRP, XLM, XDC, ACH, HBAR. Money going digital is the number one category in terms of utility purposes. Number two is data. Data projects will always be remaining number two. Everything is going to be reliant on data in the digital world. If we're going to be having social credit systems, data is very important. Web3, data is very important. AI, data is very important. Gaming, data is very important. Data will be essentially the next oil in the digital world. So, everything around you is also going to be electric. So electric vehicles, they're all going to be needing essentially data storages. So number one category is always going to be finance, money going digital inside the crypto space. So financial projects. Number two is going to be data projects. So if I had only $4,000 to spend, I'm sticking to the finance group because it's the number one category, which is XRP, XLM, XDC, ACH, and HBAR. Brother, hello again, everyone. Thompson, good to see you. How you doing? Are we, CMF, still going to be able to invest in your company in some way? Yes. So, Scott, yes. If you want, CMF members can invest into my company later on. It was something that I never considered at all. But then Scott mentioned it a very long time ago. In 2023, he mentioned it. That he wants to invest into my company, which I opened the doors and I said, later on the doors will open to anyone and CMF members that want to invest into my blockchain startup company by the name of CoinMove. If anybody wants to go and check it out, it's a blockchain startup company still, and work with many executives around the world in terms of real estate. But yeah, go and check it out. CoinMove. Just type in Google CoinMove. It's the first website. It's the first website on Google, CoinMove. And we're going to be opening up many offices as well around the world. We do have a lot of agents on us. We also have a lot of real estate companies, rental companies, airline companies, and all signed up with us and so on. But yeah, definitely go and check it out, coinmove.one. But the link is also on X, on my X profile as well, also on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. But or just type in Google Coin Move. First website on Google is Coin Move. But yeah, definitely. Such a beautiful day here in Toronto. Let's go, Thompson. Check out OTO, definitely. Is the only BTC ETF that I was thinking how to borrow my assets like my XLP to a bank like HSBC. If you wanted to borrow against your assets like XLP from a bank, first of all, the banks will need to start offering these services. So HSBC Bank, for example, they're going to be starting offering the service only from Hong Kong first, and then the United Arab Emirates, and then it's going to be worldwide basis after that. Standard Chartered Bank is also going to be offering lending and borrowing services as well. Many other jurisdictions, many other institutions, many other corporations and banks are also going to be offering lending and borrowing services. Also, crypto platforms are going to be starting to offer it as well. But the more we go into regulations, the more this will come into play. But when the time is ready for anyone to be able to borrow against their assets, I will let everybody know step-by-step plan. I will also give you the contact details that I have of bank managers, and I still have a lot of acquaintances and friends in the banking world, especially in HSBC, NatWest, and so on. So I will definitely put people in contact with them when the time comes around for lending and borrowing. I have to go. Bye. Would I'll see you tomorrow, but at the same time as usual. I'm thinking so about Uphold as you thought. I love HBAR more than ACH because it has more partnerships and more transparent. Let's go, Thompson. Why not? Algorand is my second choice in comparison to HBAR. Okay. Thanks. I'm excited. Once you publish information for our group, let's go, Scott. Thanks. I'm excited. Once you publish, let's go. When you were younger, weren't you in real estate and you said it was stressful? Yes. When I was younger, I was in real estate and it was stressful. Real estate is not for the weak whatsoever. And I decided with all the clientele that I did get from real estate, from all the landlords that I was able to collect information from over the years, and from all the landlords and the clients that wanted to purchase properties and so on. So I decided to take my clientele list and build my own company, a blockchain real estate company, and use that clientele that I already have when I do launch to let them know that they can start purchasing properties around the world using cryptocurrencies. And I already work with quite a lot of agencies around the world, And I also have back-end access to some agencies around the world for their properties. I get first pick on some properties around the world in some agencies, major agencies. And I never used to work for agencies, and I said this as well a very long time ago. I never used to work for agencies, but I used to bring them clients. I used to bring a very long time ago. I used to bring, when I was 18, 19, I used to bring agencies clients. And a lot of agencies tried to offer me jobs and hire me out, but I didn't want to do that because I'm not stupid. The reason why I never decided to work for any of those agencies is because they will later on have access to my clientele. And I was trying to build a list of clienteles. And obviously I knew if I started working with any agencies, they would want my list. So instead, I decided to bring them clients and take my cut on every property that I sold. And kept my clientele for me. Okay. When you either way, great European data products, H1 Algorand, yes, definitely. What type of risk do you do? Sales. Estate agents, subletting, what type? Sales. Thanks, Miles, for explanation. I can't wait to know about the procedure of borrowing against my assets. Let's go. Also, no problem. Now, U.S. government. Let's go back into the news as well. U.S. government sells seized bitcoins. Okay. U.S. government sells seized bitcoins. Values has dropped below 59,000 due to profit-taking activities. Even in light of favorable microeconomics indicators, a significant transfer has further delayed any swift recovery. This decline in cryptocurrency prices is partially attributed to actions by the United States government. Despite reduced fear in the market, the surplus supply continues to exert pressure on prices. Why Silk Road BTC? The US government has been selling assets seized during a law enforcement operation. Recent data from Arkham Intelligence is very, let's say, intelligent in this matter, of finding out which wallet belongs to who. So Arkham Intelligence indicted that 10,000 Bitcoins were essentially valued at $600 million was transferred to a Coinbase address. This follows a deal between the US Department of Justice and Coinbase Prime, where Coinbase assets in storing and selling these seized assets. So, Arkham Intelligence recent update revealed a wallet that received 10,000 Bitcoins from a known US government wallet 2 weeks ago has now sent the assets to Coinbase Prime. Address the Silk Road marketplace, once a dark web hub, was dismantled, and the DOJ has now been liquidating the seized assets as authorized. So, impact on Bitcoin sales. Transfers to Coinbase Prime shouldn't be seen as an immediate sale on public exchanges. Coinbase also deals in the over-the-counter OTC transactions, particularly for ETF issuers and institutional clients. Given the strong demand in the ETF channel, offloading thousands of Bitcoin daily remains feasible. The US government holds a substantial reserve of 203,239 Bitcoins worth $12 billion. Among its top assets are $133 million in Ethereum and $121 million in USDT. Meanwhile, Mt. Gox has nearly completed its repayment, significantly impacting the market as well. Mt. Gox recently did $2 billion to Bitcoin wallets. Key takeaways for investors: US government's Bitcoin sales can create market pressure. Coinbase's role includes OTC transactions, not just public sales. Mt. Gox repayments have largely concluded, affecting Bitcoin circulation. Current Bitcoin price hovers near $60,000 with the potential of market stabilization. The current situation indicates a complex interplay of the government's actions and market demand. While large asset sales create a short-term pressure, strong ETF channel demand may help absorb the impact. Investors should stay informed about these developments to navigate the volatile landscape effectively. So, the United States might be getting ready to sell off some of the Bitcoins they seized from Silk Road. They do own a ridiculous amount of Bitcoin, about $12 billion. But in this case, $600 million worth of Bitcoin have been just transferred over to a Coinbase Prime wallet from a US government wallet. A US government wallet has just sent over $600 million of Bitcoin to Coinbase Prime wallet. Does that mean it's going to be selling immediately? Probably not, but it is an indication of selling. Ironically, it's the exact same time that they're doing this is when Mt. Gox is also doing their last repayments of $2 billion. Now, the next news on tonight's live show. But that was definitely something to consider if you are going for Bitcoin, if you want to go for other crypto assets. If the US market starts dumping Bitcoin, it will definitely cause some volatile stages inside the market space. So definitely keep that under consideration. Next news on tonight's live show is regarding MetaMask. MetaMask begins launch of blockchain-based debit cards in partnership with MasterCard and Banex. MetaMask is introducing a new blockchain-based debit card that enables users to make purchases directly from their self-custodian crypto wallets. Initially available in the pilot phase for a select few thousand users in the European Union and the UK, the MetaMask card is expected to see a broader release later this year. Users will be able to spend their USDC, USDT, and ETH assets stored on the Luna Layer 2 networks, a solution built on Ethereum. MetaMask, known as a popular self-custodial wallet for Ethereum network, is partnering with MasterCard and the crypto payment provider Banex to bring this innovative payment solution to life. The pilot phase will feature digital-only cards available to users in the EU and the UK, with plans for a full rollout across Europe. Regarding these regions later on. Additionally, MetaMask aims to launch a similar pilot in other regions in the coming months as well. This development reflects the growing confidence in cryptocurrencies, also connecting traditional finance to blockchain technology. As global financial institutions tokenize traditional assets like bonds and credits, and asset managers begin to offer exchange-traded funds for Bitcoin and Ethereum, payment giants like MasterCard are exploring ways to integrate blockchain technology into existing financial systems. MasterCard has been collaborating with Banex on Web3 payment solutions as well, bridging the gap between traditional payments and crypto platforms such as Ledger and decentralized exchanges as well. 1inch, meanwhile, for example, has partnered with Visa, with Circle's USDC stablecoin and Solana network to accelerate cross-border payments as well. We saw a significant opportunity to make purchases for self-custody wallet users easier, more secure, and interoperability, said Raj, the Executive Vice President of Blockchain and Digital Assets at MasterCard. Simon Jones, Chief Commercial Officer at Banix, highlighted the potential impact of this offering on financial inclusion, stating that anyone with access to a mobile phone should be able to access basic financial services by default. This could have a profound impact in regions with large populations of unbanked or underbanked individuals. The MetaMask bank card will function like a standard debit card, but the added advantage of allowing users to make purchases directly using their digital assets held in MetaMask's self-custodial wallet. This ensures that users retain full control over their funds until the moment of payment. Lorenzo Santos, Senior Product Manager at Consensus, emphasized the flexibility this card offers, saying this gives more people freedom to spend their assets in this case, crypto. So if you do have a MetaMask wallet, they've just partnered up with MasterCard. If you live in the UK or the EU, you are going to be the first people to have access to MasterCard debit cards from MetaMask, where it will be connected to your wallets and you can spend them easily. If you're based outside of the EU and the UK, don't worry, it's coming to you as well by the end of the year. But they're starting out in the EU and UK MasterCard debit cards, where you can spend your cryptocurrencies that are stored on your MasterCard, on your MetaMask wallets. Now, next news on tonight's live show. Nords. So Norges Bank and Swiss National Bank reveal exposure to MicroStrategy. Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund, Norges Bank Investment Management, which is also known as Norway's Government Pension Fund Global, has consistently allocated a significant amount to MicroStrategy shares. The Central Bank of Switzerland also followed the same path. It seems like, according to new documentations, a lot of corporations around the world, in terms of pension funds or banks, have had some sort of exposure to Bitcoin or Ethereum or ETFs or to cryptocurrencies that they were very silent on. But now, according to their filings, they can't be silent anymore. So according to their recent individual filings, the 13F filings, both financial institutions hold a sizable portion of thriving shares. Institutional investors seek thriving investment opportunities. Norges Bank revealed that it holds 1.123 million MSTR shares, while the Swiss National Bank has 466,000 MSTR shares in its accounts. The June 30th filings for Q2 showed that the Swiss bank increased its exposure to MSTR compared to the previous quarter. Similarly, South Korea's public pension fund and Mitsubishi Sumo, a major Japanese insurance company, also has exposure to MSTR stocks as well. The filings from these firms underscores the global recognition of MSTR's metric rise following MicroStrategy's adoption of Bitcoin strategy. Compared to the quite many other shares, the shares of the business intelligence firm have gained more value over time. MSTR outperforms the S&P 500 shares. In a recent report, it turned out that MSTR outperformed 499 out of the 500 shares on the S&P 500. In the course of 4 years, MSTR has grown by 995%, surpassing NVIDIA, Targa Resources, Astra Network, Eli Lilly, and many others. Supermicro stock led all stocks, including MSTR, at a performance level of 1,584%. Meanwhile, the Michael Saylor-led firm is still actively accumulating Bitcoin with no plans to shed off any portion of their holdings. 2 weeks ago, the crypto market saw a huge crash that sent Bitcoin price below 50,000. While many perceived the market shift as an opportunity to empty their stash, MicroStrategy decided to go all in, holding on its Bitcoin holdings. MicroStrategy sticks to its Bitcoin accumulation strategy. In the second quarter of 2024, MicroStrategy experienced a huge loss, but this did not stop the firm from acquiring more Bitcoin. During this time, the business intelligence firm made a total purchase of 12,222 Bitcoins, bringing its entire total holdings to 226,500 individual Bitcoins. It cost around $805 million to make this purchase in Q2. The Bitcoin liquidation strategy has earned the company a large profit margin, and the result is becoming enticing to other firms. A few days ago, Marathon Digital Holdings, Mara, a leading Bitcoin mining giant, revealed its intentions to offer $250 million in unsecured convertible senior notes, which are due in September 1st, 2031. The funds is intended for general corporate purposes and acquiring additional Bitcoin. It seems like everybody wants to follow the footsteps of MicroStrategy by the looks of it, and a lot of companies around the world and pension funds are actually having exposure to MSTR stocks. Also, on the basis of when the market goes down, I've always said there's only three options for you when the market goes down. The only three options you have, option number one, when the market goes down, jump out and never come back to the market. There's only three options when the market goes down. If you panic when the crypto market goes down, if you panic, don't ever return back to the crypto markets. If you're the type of person that panics, if you panic, you should not be anywhere near any sort of market space. I said option number two when the market goes down is if you don't have money, no problem. Hold is the better option. Obviously, none of this is financial advice, personal preference. Third option is double down. If you have the money, double down. If your assets are down, double down on them, which is what MicroStrategy done. They doubled down. I mentioned this, and then the news came out about MicroStrategy. But anyways, that's what MicroStrategy said to do when people were panicking in panic state modes, and MicroStrategy was doubling down on their positions. And they were doubling down the millions, and people are, anticipating to double down. Should I double down another $100 or $1,000 or $10,000? They're doubling down in the millions. So if you're ever worried about are you on the right path or the wrong path when it comes to cryptocurrencies, well, when you have companies who are doubling down when the market is going drastically down, and they all decide to double down the millions, I think you're on the right path if you're deciding to do the exact same thing. Not financial advice, just personal preference from my point of view, for me. Now, but so much exposure to a lot of banks and pension funds around the world to MSTR, according to recent filings, also to cryptocurrencies. Now, the next news on tonight's live show is Revolut. Revolut Bank and Ledger have come together to expand their partnership, or to create a new partnership. So Revolut Bank and Ledger to expand Europe's crypto payment options. Revolut is now integrated into Ledger Live as a buyer provider, expanding Europe's crypto payment options. This new partnership allows Revolut Bank users to purchase cryptocurrencies directly through Ledger Live. And the chairman and CEO of Ledger told us that cryptocurrencies is inventable and allowing people to buy and sell digital assets securely with self-custody is paramount as more people enter the markets. With Revolut now a buy provider on Ledger Live, users can convert their fiat currencies into crypto without having to give up control of their assets. Users can now buy crypto directly through Ledger Live using their Revolut accounts, bypassing additional ID checks, making the process faster to buy cryptocurrencies on Ledger Live and store them on a cold wallet. The integration combines Revolut's established payment platform with Ledger's industry-leading hardware security. Across Europe, payment preferences are changing, but it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. Take France, for example. Right now, digital wallets are leading the charge in e-commerce, while cards are still dominating retail transactions. Buy now, pay later options are also climbing the ranks, especially among younger consumers, but the gap is closing, and the next few years could see digital wallets overtaking cards as top choice for online payments. In the next few years, we could be seeing cold wallets and hot wallets overtaking bank cards and overtaking Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, and Google Pay. In 2021, a survey, digital wallets were preferred by 44% of European consumers for online payments, closely rivaling card usage at 42%. And that was 2021 when the survey was done, where 44% of European consumers were for online payments, closely rivaling card usage at 42%. Do you see how close those percentage rates are? So definitely within a few years, cold wallets and hot wallets are going to be overtaking the bankings regarding the Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Google Pay, so on. Hence why Apple Pay, Google Pay, and Amazon Pay have decided to go to India and get involved in their CBDC trials. Now, the central bank CBDC trials. India has 1 billion population. Makes sense why Google wants to go over to India. Google Pay wants to go for CBDC. So you're going to be able to do CBDC transactions on Google Pay or Samsung Pay or Apple Pay on CBDC transactions. Because if they don't, they're going to fall behind. And nobody's going to be using, in a few years' time, Apple Pay or Google Pay or Samsung Pay. As ridiculous as that might sound, people won't be using them if people get used to cold wallets and hot wallets. But if Google Pay, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay adapt to cold wallets and hot wallets and blockchain technology, then people will still continue using Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay. That's why they're going over to India to get involved in CBDC trials. It's because they're desperate to get involved in the blockchain space, otherwise they're going to fall behind. And, you know, bad news, and Apple's not doing quite well recently either, and with also Berkshire Hathaway selling a ridiculous amount of their Apple shares, and they weren't the only ones, but also they haven't been doing too well either. Apple's innovation has slowed down, is what I would say. And I own an iPhone, so if anybody thinks I'm saying this because I'm an Android user, no, I'm recording with an iPhone right now. But Apple's lost their innovation stage for a very long time now. Now, New Zealand. New Zealand Central Bank publishes consultation paper on central bank digital currencies CBDC issuance. So here is some stages of where CBDCs are, for example, in New Zealand. The Reserve Bank of New Zealand has published a consultation paper on its proposed central bank digital currency CBDC titled Digital Cash. The paper is the second part of New Zealand's CBDC process, and it works towards the possible creation and deployment of a national digital asset. Why is this important for you to know, even if you don't live in New Zealand? Well, it gives you a sense of idea of where your own country is headed towards CBDCs. So, New Zealand is one of many countries involved in the cryptocurrency sector by floating CBDCs. The central bank's plan for a CBDC could make the country's crypto landscape more appealing to businesses, encouraging them to support digital assets. Already, some of the best online casinos in New Zealand support cryptocurrencies, allowing users to deposit and earn using digital assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. And in many countries worldwide, CBDCs are already being used to make everyday transactions privately and securely, which is true. CBDCs are being used in many jurisdictions around the world, in small portions, but it's being used. After this consultation, the Reserve Bank essentially of New Zealand will assess feedback and create a business case based on the insights received. The decision to proceed to the third stage depends on these insights from the second stage. According to the published paper, New Zealand's CBDC will be private and secure. The central bank promises that users will not need a bank account, as the CBDC will be freely available to everyone and distributed by the private sector entities. The plan is to authorize several digital cash service providers and allow users to choose a preferred provider or use multiple services. The Reserve Bank will not provide the CBDC directly to users. Yes, we all know why they're not. The same thing Dubai said as well. So the United Arab Emirates said the exact same thing. They said the central bank of the United Arab Emirates will not be using Bitcoin or Ethereum, not because they're not allowed to, not because they're bad assets, no. So the central bank of the United Arab Emirates also about a week ago mentioned that they're not going to be using Bitcoin or Ethereum for legal tender basis. Instead, they're going to be using CBDCs for legal tender basis only. And they said the people in the United Arab Emirates can use Bitcoin and Ethereum, buy it, store it, sell it, do whatever they want with it. But the central bank will not be accepting Bitcoin or Ethereum as legal tender, only CBDCs. What's interesting is that the central bank of the UAE also said that a third party was going to release their CBDC. Same scenario here. The Reserve Bank of New Zealand is not going to be the one that releases their CBDC. A third party is going to be the one that releases their CBDC. Now, if you really think about it, ironically also, if you really think about it though, as I said previously, 24,000 crypto projects, and only one out of 24,000 crypto projects has a CBDC platform, active CBDC platform, won multiple CBDC awards with the Bank of International Settlements, International Monetary Fund, and the World Economic Forum. And that's Ripple. And they're the only ones with an active CBDC platform and have multiple CBDC awards. Also, ironically, a day before Ripple was, the Ripple case came to an end, a day before the Ripple case came to an end, the UAE and Ripple announced this major partnership once again. And then the next day, we had the Ripple case come to an end. Because as we all know, things in this world happen by coincidence. Ripple case, essentially Ripple and the UAE announced their re-partnership, and the next day, Ripple case comes to an end. And then they're also mentioning third party is going to be releasing their CBDCs, and that Bitcoin and Ethereum will not be legal tender for their central bank, but the people of the UAE can use Bitcoin and Ethereum to send and buy assets and so on. But the central bank is not going to be using as legal tender, only CBDCs. And a third party is going to release their CBDCs. Same goes here, New Zealand, a third party is going to be releasing their CBDCs. Same goes for any centralized bank. A third party is going to be releasing their CBDCs. And you can all take a guess on who that third party is. 24,000 crypto projects, and only one has an active CBDC platform. One of them only have multiple CBDC awards, Bank of International Settlements, International Monetary Fund, World Economic Forum. The list just goes on. And it's Ripple. You don't need to be a genius to figure that one out. The RBNZ is focusing on individual use and well-designed the CBDC so that users will not need an internet connection. Yes, one of the main purposes of essentially CBDCs is they're going to have offline capabilities where offline CBDCs is going to work. So how offline CBDCs actually work is it's a yes or no type of basis. So your balance gets updated the moment it connects to some sort of internet services, but the payment still goes through for you to be able to purchase the item. But they will have offline capabilities. So this will enable New Zealanders to make payments to businesses, government agencies, or other users. It would also help to cater to approximately 50,000 people over the age of 16 years old that cannot or do not have a bank account in New Zealand. New Zealand CBDC to solve decline in cash usage. According to the RBNZ, the CBDC will address the reduced use of cash as a core payment option for many New Zealanders. The central bank has noticed that regular everyday transactions no longer use as much cash as before, stating that a significant decrease in cash has happened since 2021 and 2023. In addition to addressing this problem, the Apex Bank believes that a CBDC must preserve monetary sovereignty, ensure financial stability, maintain effectiveness of monetary policy, and allow market competition. The CBDC should also address any unintended barriers to payments, according to the Central Bank of New Zealand. They also went on to say, central bank money must adapt to changing economies and societies. It must ensure New Zealand has reliable and efficient money and payment systems that support innovation and conclusion. Being clear on the role of central bank money into the future is critical and will shape money and payments for decades to come. For decades to come. The central bank will also defend its decision to investigate digital currencies. It explains that most central banks are doing the same, referencing a Bank for International Settlements 2022 survey, which revealed that 93% of 86 centralized banks were researching CBDCs. Reasons for CBDC considerations include financial conclusion, payment efficiencies and safety, monetary policy implementations, and financial stability. Last year, New Zealand's crypto exchange Easy Crypto launched a stablecoin pegged to New Zealand's dollar in partnership with Australian blockchain development firm Labroys. Initially launched on the Ethereum stablecoin, the plan is to extend the New Zealand dollar stablecoin NZDD to other blockchains, including Polygon, Arbitrum, Optimize, Base, and BNB Smart Chain. This is some private stablecoin that's been launched out in New Zealand, something on the lines of USDT, for example, but on a New Zealand type of scale, or USDC, but it's not a competitor to USDT or USDC. So Easy Crypto considered the NZDD necessary because maximizing profits for US dollar stablecoins is difficult for New Zealanders. Opposing views on crypto. This was interesting as well. New Zealand's Minister of Commerce and Consumer Affairs recently expressed worry that the country is a little too cautious about supporting crypto and blockchain innovations, but they fully support CBDCs. Responding to comments from the Finance and Expenditure Committee in Parliament, Andrew Bailey said New Zealand's wait-and-see approach would cost the country several benefits of advancements in the crypto sector. All over the world, digital assets are already being widely used to bridge the gap between the traditional and cryptocurrency sector, including cross-border payments, non-fungible tokens representing real-world assets, and crypto gambling. Bailey's ministry offered a few recommendations. It proposes digital asset regulations that encourage innovation in the country's crypto and blockchain sector, government support for industry development, training and educational resources, a taxation framework, and access to banking services. Interestingly, the RBNZ Central Bank Governor, Adrian, does not support widespread crypto use in New Zealand. Speaking to the Finance and Expenditure Committee, Aura said that cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and stablecoins should not be considered as store of value or means of exchange despite their high adoption. Same thing that the bank of, essentially the central bank of the UAE pretty much said. They don't see Bitcoin and Ethereum as some sort of legal tenders or high value or something like that. They said the people is perfectly fine for them to use it, but not for the centralized bank. They would prefer CBDCs. Same goes here in New Zealand. They would prefer CBDCs. They don't really see Bitcoin or other stable coins that are not New Zealand based for something for them to be holding. Now, according to Aura, stablecoins are only good if their underlying issuer balance sheet is good. In other words, a stablecoin is only good if they have full transparency. USDT doesn't have transparency at all. That's why they're not going to be listed in the EU market space due to the MiCA regulations. That's also why many crypto platforms and exchanges have delisted USDT in the EU due to the MiCA regulations, because USDT Tether does not want to show transparency on what's really backing their assets. USDC, on the other hand, has been fully compliant and is able to launch in the EU under the MiCA regulations. They have the green light for it. But also USDC has depegged ones, so which means they're a very bad choice for a stablecoin. But putting that all that on one side, despite the RBNZ's progress towards CBDCs, tax authorities are going after untaxed crypto income from thousands of users as well. According to a recent press release, the Inland Revenue Department identified 227,000 unique crypto users who actively deal with cryptocurrencies but admit income from their tax returns. The press release specifies that 7 million transactions worth $7.8 billion was made in cryptocurrencies, and not a single penny in taxes was made. Yes, obviously, because nobody wants to pay their taxes. Obviously, that's a bad thing. You know, you should always pay your taxes. You never know who's watching. You should always pay your taxes. I'm just joking. You should always pay your taxes. But obviously, there are multiple ways around in a very legitimate way, using your crypto assets as collateral, borrowing against them to skip on taxes, because you don't pay tax on debt. But the next news also on tonight's slideshow is Binance. Binance settles with Brazilian regulators. It seems like Binance is once again able to open its doors back up inside of Brazil, which is becoming slowly one of the biggest market spaces out there inside of crypto space, especially with their new release of their CBDC coming next year. So Binance settles with Brazilian regulators for $1.76 million only. Crypto exchange Binance has finally put an end to its Brazilian regulatory nightmare. The company coughed up $1.76 million or 9.6 million reais in Brazilian currency to settle with the CVM. Why? Because according to the CVM, Binance got caught up playing fast and loose with unlicensed derivatives trading in Brazil after a relentless probe into its sketchy trading practices in the country. Binance initially tried to get out of a mess by tossing a measly $370,000 on the table back in August 2023. Back in August 2023, Brazil was only asking from Binance $370,000, which Binance laughed at and thought it was a joke. Now they ended up paying $1.7 million. The CVM looked at that offer and said they weren't very interested in the lowball settlements. Fast forward a year and Binance had to dig a lot deeper into their pockets. Brazil's crypto scene, high inflation and digital dreams. Brazil's economic woes, high inflation, a tanking cryptocurrency, you name it, pushed people towards alternatives like cryptocurrencies. The Brazilian real has been on the losing strike for over a decade. the Brazilian currency. So what do people do when when their money essentially keeps losing value? They look for something better. For many Brazilians, that something better turned out to be cryptocurrencies. By 2021, about 8% of Brazil's population was knee-deep in crypto, 8% by 2021, making the country the 14th highest in global crypto adoption. That's not a small number. It definitely isn't. The Brazilian government didn't just sit back and watch either. They rolled out the PIX system in 2020, a real-time payment platform that got people used to digital finance. This tech-savvy move helped make crypto even more appealing to a population already hungry for financial alternatives. But Brazil's crypto boom wasn't just about desperation. The rise in digital literacy played a big role too. As more Brazilians got online and got comfortable with digital payments, crypto started looking less like a risky bet and more like a smart investment. Cryptocurrencies are treated as assets under Brazilian law, which means that they're subject to all taxes and regulations that come with that label. The government has been working overtime to create rules that protect consumers without stifling their innovation that comes with blockchain technology. Despite all the red tape, Brazil crypto exchanges have thrived. Take Mercado Bitcoin, for example. By 2021, it had over 5 million users, making it one of the biggest exchanges in Latin America. All over Latin America, people in economically unstable countries have been turning to crypto as a way to protect their finances. Makes a lot of sense why. But yeah, Binance, after obviously replacing their CEO with a World Economic Forum member, and Binance USA replacing their CEO with a World Economic Forum member as well, CZ going to prison, paying $4 billion fine. There are more US departments in Binance than there is in any other country, and that explains why Binance has just reopened its doors to Brazil, because Binance is pretty much an American company. Genuinely, Binance has more US departments inside of it than any other company out there. And they also have 2 new CEOs. For a while now, they've had them. They're both World Economic Forum members for the Binance USA and for the normal Binance, and CZ's out of the picture. Obviously, CZ is an absolute legend. If you've ever been inside the crypto space for a very long time, you would understand that CZ is an absolute legend inside the crypto space. But he's no longer with Binance, and I don't think he ever will be with Binance. But he's still a board member, apparently. Now, it's only way to, let me see where we were inside the comment section. Thanks for the explanation. I can't wait to procedure about borrowing my assets. Let's go. Sui. Is Sui a good project? It has prospering future for itself, Sui. It's the only way to go. Double down if you can. Let's go, JP. Them numbers are nuts. Yep. Absolutely. Good night, Brother Miles and CMF family. Funky brother, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Ironically, we've also reached the endings of tonight's live show as well. On tonight's live show, we talked about Brazil and Binance reopening their doors together. We talked about central bank digital currencies, a perspective from New Zealand on their new study cases. We talked about Revolut and Ledger coming together. We talked about the exposure that Swiss banks and Norwegian banks and Sweden banks and many other pension funds around the world, even in Japan, have exposure to cryptocurrencies. We also talked to Bitcoin ETFs or MicroStrategy MSTR stocks. We also talked about MetaMask launching a bank card, MasterCard, coming to EU and UK citizens, but by the end of the year to other jurisdictions as well. We also talked about the US government on the possibility of selling their Bitcoins because there are some movements happening water-to-water transactions. I also talked about the Bitcoin price drop in the market reacting to the CPI data that recently came out. I also went through the news regarding Goldman Sachs and how they're betting big on Bitcoin ETFs. About $419 million in investments have been revealed. I also went through the news regarding BlackRock engagements in heavily crypto and tokenized asset issuance. If you enjoyed this live show, it's called the CMF live show. It stands for Crypto Miles Family. And you can tune into this live show every single night on X, if you're watching this on X, or on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, because I'm streaming to both of them every single night. So depending on where you're watching from, thank you so much for watching. And this has been absolutely amazing. This has been also episode 128, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's been an episode 128, which absolutely amazing. So 129 will be tomorrow. But if you enjoyed this live show and you're watching for the first time ever, drop a follow, drop a like. If you watch this on X, drop a follow, drop a like, drop a comment. If you watch this on YouTube, subscribe and tune into it every single night. We also have a Telegram group called Crypto Miles family, which anybody's more than welcome to join as well, completely free. Everybody's very respectful. And I want to give a shout out to also our sponsors on this live show every single night, which is BingX Exchange. If you sign up to BingX Exchange, they'll give you $100 if you do your KYC as a member of this live show. And the link is somewhere also in my X profile. And also shout out to Tangent Wallet as well. If you're looking for a new wallet to store your crypto assets safely, use Tangent Wallet and use code CryptoMiles for 10% off and $10 a voucher as well from Tangent. If you enjoyed this live show, drop a follow, drop a like, and shout out to our sponsors as well, BingX Exchange and Tangent Wallet as well. Good night, Miles and CMF. Take care and see everyone tomorrow. Mike, see you tomorrow sometimes usual as well. Good night, Brother Miles and CMF family. Funky Brother, see you tomorrow sometimes usual as well. See you tomorrow, Miles. Pablo, see you tomorrow sometimes usual. Good night, Miles. All thank you for all the news, Miles. JP, see you tomorrow, Brother, sometimes usual as well. I will be seeing everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. See everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Good night, Miles of CMF. Thanks for the news. Free and forever. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. See you tomorrow. See everyone tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. See you tomorrow, CMF.